Boxing?
Yes, sir. For some of our people who may never have seen a Jean-Claude Van Damme or Jean-Claude Van Damme, excuse me,
Ah,
capitalist pig accent, what is kickboxing?
kickboxing is the art of kicking and punching.
With some
It-
knees and elbows.
no, that's Muay Thai. Take out the knees and elbows, and you have kickboxing.
No.
So I mean, we do both, but no. It can be fun too. Boxing, traditional boxing, the sweet science, kickboxing, and Muay Thai. We don't limit ourselves here. We train everything. All of it's fun.
Let me ask you a question. Did we achieve the pinnacle of the potential of the sweet science of Western boxing, the U.S.? What's your opinion? Look, Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. There is no Mike Tyson anywhere else. It is Mike Tyson. Anywhere you go in the world, it is Mike Tyson.
That is true. That is true. That can't argue there. There's a lot of greats, but I think
Muhammad Ali.
Country, yeah. There's a lot. That's what I say. In America, you have a lot of greats. However, when you go to like Mexico, when you go to other places, I think they have a more
Manny Pacquiao.
Their stock is different. Like it's rooted more in their culture. You have a lot of standouts here, and you have a lot of people who practice. But I mean, those guys and the conditions that they practice in and what they overcome, it's like it's crazy. Not to say that we don't go through anything here, but it gets a little crazy. Like I have a few friends who are pro boxers, and you see what they go through, and it's like, wow, damn, you just box for fun. Like that's your getaway.
From about the Tyson Jones fight.
Is that going to happen?
Yeah.
No, that's yeah. I'm excited now. Boxing hasn't been the same. And by the way, for those of you that are listening, I have subliminal messages and everything. So you guys that are like familiar with Illuminati and all these little Luciferian things, well, I'm on the opposite side of that spectrum. I have subliminal messages built into why I asked about boxing and benchmarking and why it is that the U.S. is a benchmark to boxing. I think DeVar knows where I'm going with this already.
Absolutely. I feel trapped.
So, yeah, I'm definitely excited for that. Let's go back to boxing, though. What is that one dude? Is it Oscar de la Hoya? That man was a benchmark as well. And he's definitely Mexico's pride, right?
I don't know whose pride it was, but he was definitely a fighter, that dude, Oscar de la Hoya.
I'm pretty sure he's Mexican, man. That dude inspired me. And I don't really box. I don't enjoy boxing. It hurts my hands. I mean, I just don't do it as a sport. But the boxing style that he used actually influenced what I teach for self-defense. It was so solid. Remember when he fought Hector Camacho?
Mm-hmm.
You guys chime in, man. Don't let me carry this by myself.
I haven't watched. I'm gonna be honest. Used to be a huge sports nut back in the day, but then I went 7 years without TV. Sports changed. I came back. I couldn't follow it. I got into UFC, but after that, met my wife, did other things besides watch sports, and now I have too many kids. So, yeah, there's no sports. I still don't have cable, so I don't know shit. But I am going to watch the Tyson Jones fight because, I mean, you can't pass that up.
Man, I'm excited about that. If that's really going to happen, even within the UFC, like DeVar might be able to relate to this. And anybody who has something that they do consistently will relate to this in their own special way, whatever their category is. But after teaching fighting for so long and after being around fighters for so long, it does start to feel like work. So unless it's one of my personal friends fighting, I just don't want to watch the fights.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the fight conversation, but I'm a lover, and the topic of the show today
is about another fight between the two guys behind. Here.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to comment real quick that Biden looks like a Jim Carrey impressionist in that picture behind you. And Trump
looks like Trump.
Yeah, but it just looked like he's trying to eke out a fucking silent fart during a press conference.
Nah. That don't look like it's silent. That look like he hit the motorboat propeller, like he's and he's just holding it.
So
Like he about to take off.
Yeah.
So Drake, to cut in, I apologize, Devar, because I spoke while you were speaking.
Uh-oh.
Nah,
That was
you
very
good.
rude of me. So the subliminal message.
Yeah.
So back to the boxing topic that you were trying to avoid. I'm doing some little witchcraft here, but on the there's no such thing as witchcraft. Anyway, I'm doing some magic here, whatever you guys want to call it. So the benchmark for boxing has been set by the United States of America, has it not? Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali.
I would agree.
I think so. I mean, I really don't know too much about boxing on anywhere else.
Roy Jones.
Yeah.
Come on, man. George Foreman got his own grill.
George Foreman.
Okay.
Who else we got?
Sugar Ray Leonard,
Sugar Ray Leonard. Thank you. Larry Holmes.
Evander Holyfield.
Vander Holyfield. Thank you. Keep them coming.
You can't really say Lennox Lewis from back in the day because he was from England.
But you know what? I like the fact that you brought him up. He is a benchmark, but he's one benchmark for England. So the US has produced per capita the benchmark for boxing. And they have also inspired the great boxers in other countries. I'm sorry, that's how it works. Maybe it's because of our the way that we promote them. Maybe it's the way that we beat them. Maybe it's the opportunity. I don't know. But why do you guys think it is that the US was able to produce such highly benchmarking, methodical boxers?
Okay, so I kind of
think they just
this
put effort
is my
into it.
personal take on it, and that's I think it has a lot to do with our branding, our advertising of our fighters. I think those other places, other countries probably have terrific, great, phenomenal fighters, but they're not advertised here. You know what I'm saying? To where we take our fighters and promote them internationally.
So
Through our media.
whose fighters do you think live better? Whose fighters do you think get the better conditions? Because what you're saying is true, and I agree with it 100%. We do a better job with the branding and the marketing of them. Why is it that the other countries aren't doing that for their fighters? Why not?
I mean, maybe they don't have the means.
It's let's say socialism. Why doesn't socialism produce great boxers like Capitalist Pig?
Oh, because you can't have every bout win with two winners.
Dagnab, that was deep. Devar, take it away.
I agree. Took the words right out of my mouth.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
You take competition.
So
Healthy competition.
healthy competition. Man, that sounds like a bunch of that Capitalist Pig doctrine.
Doesn't it?
I love to count. That's going to be a soundbite, isn't it? In the future. You have my permission to steal that. I love to count. So,
but yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where if the challenge is not there, you're not necessarily going to rise to the occasion. You have to put the challenges in front of you. Now, a lot of people do it across these other countries, but they kind of do it for fun. Then you have certain people who see that talent, quote unquote, and then they have their team go behind this person and put them out in front of millions of people, and it works out in the beginning. But unfortunately, this young kid who has this great talent, next thing you know, he's exposed to all of these perks and doesn't know how to handle it because he wasn't groomed in that situation, and ends up, rising, falling. You see the same thing happens all the time. But I mean, for most people, I don't think it's as serious as it is here. Everyone's always trying to make a dollar. here.
Were you talking about Tyson again?
Not just Tyson.
Oh.
Tyson is one of many.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean, he had the greatest promoter behind him during his rise.
Yeah,
right.
Don King made sure everybody knew his name.
Don King.
Apologize.
Don King, I think that was actually a good example. And Don King, please don't kill me. You know what you did. I'm not suicidal. Don King took advantage of the situation. Now, if Mike Tyson, granted his circumstances, he came from nothing, from Catskill, New York, and by all facts and figures, and especially in any country, he definitely would have been suppressed and never allowed to rise to the top.
Right.
That original guy, I don't remember his original trainer before Don King, but the old man that took him in loved him, groomed him, and taught him how to do something productive with boxing. If he did not, what is it?
Yeah. Customato.
Customato?
That's his last name, yeah.
All right. All I know is that old man was his dad, and taught him how to do something productive with his talent. And we all do need that. If that man wouldn't have stepped into his life, Mike Tyson would have been one of the baddest dudes in prison, I have a feeling. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I think everybody knows that he was headed the wrong way. Or for those of you that don't know the story, Mike Tyson was headed in the wrong direction. And that guy helped turn him around and turn it into something productive through like Golden Gloves boxing. Don't quote me on that, but he turned it into something productive. John, sorry.
No. I didn't want to interrupt you, but also I wanted to interject with people that might not be as familiar with boxing or the story behind it, but maybe in pop culture or series. It's also like to me, it's also like Dexter. I don't know if you ever seen Dexter. The dude was always going to be a killer, but his stepdad taught him how to harness that and go after people that didn't fit the moral code. Are you guys familiar with Dexter?
I've never watched it.
Not really.
So
I don't really watch TV a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, the dude always showed signs of being a serial killer, but his father was a cop. His dad knew that the justice system didn't always work, so he groomed and trained the kid to harness that hunger into going after people that got away with murder.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So go back to
wait. I gotta correct you. It wasn't that they got away with murder; they got away with heinous crimes.
Yeah.
And then got murdered.
Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but I did. And that is kind of a good allegory. No, that's actually a really good allegory. We're not trying
now that I read it, I'm just kind of like, hey, that's pretty fucking cool. He sponsored the original Violence Against Women Act in '94.
Nice.
That's true.
What is the breakdown of that?
It's just let's see, major decline in intimate partner violence from 2.1 million victims in '94 to 907,000 in 2010. I mean,
Yeah, because a lot of those dudes were locked up, which was a good thing.
Hey,
And that
listen,
kind of piggybacks off of the crime bill. Remember,
you,
not everyone there's victims of that there's victims of that crime bill who had minor offenses and got
no, no.
major time. However, no, I'm giving him his props. I'm giving him his props. However, by doing that, you can't say that all were innocent. There were people who deserved to be there. And in doing that, a lot of things have gotten reduced. A lot of crime has gotten reduced, which goes back to what you were talking about, with the women. If you take those individuals off of the street, they won't be able to harm the women that they're doing. So you can find good. And I think, like I said, with me, what I'm seeing right now, he's given people he's given people hope. He's positioned himself as the good guy. If it's a good versus evil thing, he's in that good slot.
Okay, so and I apologize to you, Dia. I was trying to save those talking points for the next segment.
Gotcha.
But for anybody who's listening, if you have any questions, is anybody taking phone calls? Like, where are they coming into? To Dre? Comments, whatever.
Yeah, but I think
Anyway,
he was he.
we look forward to hearing comments, etc., even if it's after the show, whatever. All right, so now we're going to move into what is your favorite thing that Trump has done. And again, this game is not for you to say there's nothing he. No, no, no. We're not playing intellectual dishonesty. That's something that the United States Americans need to do away with, is intellectual dishonesty. Let's look at your favorite thing. Find it that you can pick that Donald Trump has done, and we're gonna build part of the show off of these things. Go, Jay.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
That's your favorite thing he's done for the United States?
From my childhood, yes.
Okay, I accept it. There's not a wrong answer. My favorite thing, and this is something that I saw at the beginning, he went after child trafficking and child sex rings, but it wasn't only children being affected. There were teenagers, there were women that got the benefit to this as well, and men and boys. So when he went after the child trafficking rings, none of this was exposed in the media. And I was actually quite surprised by that. In the jujitsu world, those of us that are instructors, a lot of our students are in law enforcement. So we kind of get privy to some information that the general public may not. And obviously, the deep conversations that teachers have with their students, we get to hear things that may not even be exposed to regular media. So when I found out that he was shutting these child trafficking rings down, I went and I did a little research for myself. And sure enough, he shut down the avenues, the streets, and the means to which children could be very conveniently trafficked, exploited, men, women, children, etc. He tangibly busted up child trafficking rings, and we've been seeing that domino effect ever since. And for me, if I had to pick one thing that Trump has done for America, and it's not just America, it is the rest of the world, but for America, it was shutting down child trafficking and child exploitation.
But if we're talking about child predators and whatnot, then that's also piggybacking off of one of Biden's achievements, because he was the primary sponsor for the Protect Our Children's Act.
But here's the thing, I'm going after actuations, what actually has happened. Now, and let me explain this to the listeners. I'm not trying to take away from Biden. What Biden has done not what he believes in, not what he supports, not what did he do. So these things did not happen under a different administration, which is why I chose that as my favorite thing. That happened under this administration, and Biden may have actually supported that as well. I don't know. I don't know if his name was on the laws that were passed that allow that to be done. But I visibly and tangibly saw the prostitution rings that were exploiting children dissolve, disappear, and I saw the cases appearing in the media where people who were sex trafficking children. And when I say children, we're talking about like 3 years old up to like below 18. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
He actually did that. He made it happen. So that is my favorite thing.
Yes.
Man.
Mute.
No, it's so it's on me. Is it my turn or
Yes, sir. It can be anything. There's no wrong answer. It can be his orange skin if you feel like that contributed to America.
He's a Simpsons constant
I was
celebrity.
just about to say it. I was just about to say my favorite thing he did was the Simpsons episodes. No, what for me it was like as much as people don't want to admit this, and as much as people give credit to the previous president, he got everyone to pay attention. Whether you liked him or not, you were watching, you were paying attention. More people are into politics now, I would say, than even when Obama was in office. More people are paying attention now to you. He's one of those guys, you love him or hate him, there's no in between.
And how does that affect America in your opinion?
That depends. That really depends. Some people love it. Some people think it's great for the country. Some people can't stand him from day one. Just
But they're paying attention now to politics. Is that a
Yes.
good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing if you actually understand politics and you leave the emotion out of it. If your emotions are driving you in a political situation, you're gonna run into trouble because politicians are like they're like locusts, they're like viruses, they're like vermin, like the symbiote from Venom, and what they feed off of is emotion. So if you're this big ball of emotion going around, that symbiote is gonna find you, and depending on which one you get, it determines the outcome of the situation. It's people are too caught up, like that's just my thing.
Isn't that
We're
part
not
of
talking to each other.
Isn't that part of the learning process of politics, though? And I'm going to use a comparison that me and Devar really can use very well. When people first learn about fighting, not what they thought was fighting, but when they actually get in there and roll and they get embarrassed, they get emotional, right?
Yep.
And then that's not a bad thing. You and I, as instructors, and obviously for those of you that are well seasoned in politics, you guys know what I'm doing here and why I make these analogies. You get seasoned in politics and you start to lose the emotion of I like this person better because he has more hotels and he's a successful businessman. And then and I know that someone out there right now is going, he's had more bankruptcies. Listen, man, when you play big, you pay big. And sometimes you got to take big losses to make big gains. That's the nature of business.
How else do you learn?
Yeah, that's not where we're going. That doesn't apply to the fight world as well. When we start fighting, we lose a bunch in the beginning. And if you quit because you're afraid to lose, you never can be a winner. You never can be the Khabib. You never can be the Randy Couture. You never can be the Chuck Liddell. You have to go through some losses to get wins. So that, and that's just on a business perspective. So the people that are new to politics, and I sincerely hope that we're educating some of you that don't give up on politics. Let these feelings and these emotions play their course. Don't act on them though. Don't lose control. Don't extend your arm out to a place where it's going to break, or you're going to break yourself or break your neighbor. Give people some room to tap out. Give people some room to lose, and teach them what you know that will benefit America. And I know there's never going to be complete resolve about that, but we are a democratic republic and a constitutional republic that has democratic elections. Pardon me. You don't have to win every fight, and every fight that you don't win doesn't mean you lost it. If you learn something that's going to make you a black belt later on, and for the martial artists out there, you guys already know where I'm going through this. This is just a season, man. Don't give up. Whoever wins or loses, there's more to this than meets the eye. We're contrasting favorites, favorite qualities of a person that we don't like. And personally, me I'm libertarian. I'm the libertarian on the show. I don't like Biden. I don't. I see through him. I know what he's all about. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't like him, because I don't. And I hope you don't hate me because I don't like him. That also doesn't mean that I love Trump. I don't love Trump either. However, I love America. So anything that leans towards those things, I'm going to vote against, because I believe in the republic. That might make you hate me for real, but that's fine. That's the beauty of America. You can hate me, but I don't want to hurt you. And please don't hurt me for my opinions. Jay, you were raising your hand. You're on mute, by the way. See, this is love, man. I show him love. I'm not going to yell at him. I love him. Let him make a mistake, and I will help him through it.
Thank you. I'll learn to look next time. Nah, I was also gonna say that, you know, one of the things that I do like about Trump is his use of Twitter and social media.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any other president just jump on that bandwagon, whether for good or bad. I mean, because he says a lot of asshat things.
Yeah.
He talked out of his ass a lot, and it's fine. But just to see someone in a position of power engaging on social media that much, it's kind of refreshing. Between that and his creation of the Space Force, I mean, I dig that concept, but that just makes me wonder, like, what do you need a space army for if there's nothing out there?
Sounds like it should be a Simpson episode.
Right?
Right?
DeVar for president, 2024 people.
Oh, nah. I wouldn't last a day.
And then you were
VP with you. I'll keep you balanced.
There we go.
And then you were also saying about people, you know, getting into their emotions and giving into their emotions, and you know, when you do politics, you got to keep it out, just like in fighting. But Trump is a very fragile ego.
Absolutely.
In this political world. He is a fragile ego. He will deny whatever outcome that he doesn't favor. And I just think that has
does
a lot
that mean he has a fragile ego, or is he just or does he have too much of an ego? Is he Go ahead. Sorry.
No. He can be proved wrong, and he'll still say that he won't, and then he'll lash out about it.
So there's no humility.
Oh, he ain't humble.
and then
I agree.
And then it's almost like the backlash or repercussions, you know, that follow you know, you pointing out something that maybe he wasn't aware of. And and it's just it says a lot about his ego. Like it's almost like he's just not willing to learn or expand. He has absolute knowledge because he's Trump and he has all the best words and the biggest hands and had the best college scores ever. And
This
it's
is the best economy. We've done the best we've ever done. Everything is good. You know, the record numbers, records. We're breaking records all over the place. Like that's all you hear.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, good form for talking and challenging, but at least I wish he would have a little bit more substance behind it. Um, I feel bad for him, in a way. Like, I mean, yeah, he's living on top of the world, but still, I mean, when damn near, I don't know how people personally feel about him, but like this is some Mad Magazine type fucking presidency, man. Cracked magazine. This is a parody because there's just so many sound bites and actions that have been going on lately that it's almost like you're watching. It's almost like I'm watching a comedy, a farce of a political movie.
Yeah,
Now,
2020 has been a comedy and a horror movie at the same time. I'm just waiting for the love story, man. Like that's what's missing.
now, for I want to chime in on those points. I I personally, and this is just the way that I feel, I think it's the fault of the American people for allowing the past politicians to get away with too many things and not holding them up to the Constitution standard. If you're not in America, you may not completely understand our Constitution, or in some cases, you may understand our Constitution better than the mass of our people right now. The Constitution guarantees individual liberty, not group, not herd, not my party, individual liberty and protection for the pursuit of happiness, prosperity, whatever it is you want, as long as it does not destroy another person, not offend, but destroy another person. Meaning things like KKK or any radical group, you can't exist to destroy other people. You better blanket those feelings and keep your mouth shut, but you're allowed to feel those feelings. If you want to talk trash and you're in one of those extreme left or right groups, be prepared to get dropped and punched. And I might even jump in and I I should shut up, but I'm not. Colorblind, for those of you that remember the old colorblind movement, I definitely am down with that. So I will jump into your fights if you're in the right. Um, and that's a special little group of people. Some people may
You,
not know what that is.
you said if you're in the right or on the right.
No, in the right.
I'm messing with you, man. I'm messing with
Oh,
you.
I love you. Yeah, colorblind. That was the late 1970s, early 1980s movement that brought people together. That fought against radicals. So it was a beautiful thing. It was a good philosophy. I don't expect you to endorse it. It's your right not to. So anyway, I'll cut my rambling short here. In America, you have the right to individual liberty. And those are things that we do need to support for each other. Individual businesses with less government interference trying to shut down your business, not taxing businesses out of existence. The reason why that's important is because little businesses, let's pretend you want to open up a comic book store. And I know that John knows where I'm going with this because there's a really good one around the corner from his house.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to say Tate's out loud.
It's even more interesting how he got that.
If you open up this awesome store, this awesome concept, do you want to be punished for your success? So we do have to keep taxes in check. Otherwise, you're going out of business. All these hurdles that you have to jump to open a business, man, they get ridiculous sometimes. And everybody needs to be able to prosper on their own terms, doing what they love. And that is the American dream. You should not be punished for your success. That is the American dream. That is the way of America. And that's why we're in a political war right now. It's not going to be solved. It's not going to be perfected.
Wait a minute.
But it needs to be protected.
You said something there that was very interesting. You said that I think if I heard it correct. I think you said that Constitution, you have the right to pursue happiness. You have the freedom to pursue happiness as long as it doesn't infringe on others. If that's true, we have to throw the whole fucking America away.
It'll throw America away?
No, he said you have to throw the whole thing away.
It's true. We have to throw the whole damn thing away and start over because it was built on that.
On what?
On taking away other people's liberties or infringing or getting your freedom, getting a set of people's freedoms or a set of people's rights or liberties or whatever by infringing on other people.
Well, give me like a scenario.
Indians.
Slavery.
Slavery was wrong. That's why it was annihilated, and that's why it was emancipated, and that's why it's done away with and illegal. Because
still going on
people
today.
In America, where?
He's talking about modern day slavery.
I'm talking about modern day. See, I'm not talking about whips and chains, like physical whips and chains, but slavery's still going on. Absolutely. But the Democratic Party is set up off of mental slavery. Legit,
okay,
just keep you enough to keep your ass working for them.
Okay, so I'm not. I do have to argue that you cannot put a gun to somebody's head and force.
Dre, you could turn your mic up a little bit. Sorry, you sound lower.
You cannot put a gun to somebody's head and force them to vote Democrat. You cannot put a gun to somebody's head and tell them that they have to abide by the policies of the Democratic Party. Now, I hear loud and clear what you're saying, and I understand it. But anybody who was in the Democratic Party, like endorsing it, that at this point is of their free will. Now, what they use their free will for, they still have free will. Nobody is being threatened by death. Maybe.
I may have to argue that. I may have to argue that. Yeah, I
go ahead and argue that.
And I never disagree with you, bro. But I have to on that. Like, it's the landscape out there is ugly, man. And the thing is, it used to be more in the shadows, but now it's really kind of coming out there. But yeah, there's a reason why they call TV shows programs. Like you're really being, people don't realize how deep the manipulation goes. And what these people have realized is, I don't physically have to harm you anymore, but if I can program you enough, you will go out there and physically harm someone who looks just like you. What they have, all they've done is exited themselves out of the field work. You understand what I'm saying? Now you're being controlled by someone who, like I said, people you will never meet, someone who sits behind a desk all day, can push a button, and troops are like, it's almost like they're up there playing Call of Duty and we're the characters. Only difference is we don't get any do-overs.
But does that person, that individual who, and I hear you loud and clear because I see it as well. I see the manipulation, growing up the way I did. I understand how people play mind games and what we used to call boo games. Yes, I grew up in the hood. Play boo games to try to intimidate you to do things their way. But is that by free will? And hear me loud. I'm going to give you your say.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have the free will to choose whether you're going to submit to their boo game? And for those of you that don't know what a boo game is, that's where you make somebody intimidated and scared to think for themselves, and you tell them what they're going to think. However,
I understand what you're saying, Vince.
It doesn't involve you actually being physically, tangibly handled. All right, go ahead, guys. Sorry, guys.
As of lately, I've been questioning if we do have free will or not. Free will, like my idea of free will is, providing that you're not bringing any harm to anyone, you can basically do what you want to do as long as it's not harmful to yourself or anyone else. You have the right to make a decision on your own. However, if you, if the decision that you're making, I feel that the decision that we're making are based on the choices that they put in front of us. That's not necessarily free will.
But
Give
we
you an
see through it.
example in
We see
jujitsu.
through it. You and I and everybody here pretty much see
Exactly.
through it.
Exactly. But most people don't. There's a lot of times where I'll be training with a student and I'm teaching a student. I do a lot of mental training. Like people don't realize, like the physical training is one aspect of it. But what I'll do is I will catch realize something else is waiting there for them. I'm still in control. They feel like they're learning, they're coming up, they're doing their best, because most people when they start, it's a physical thing for them, but they don't realize like you can set traps, you can set these little breadcrumbs, and you can have people follow. I just feel that people in power are doing the same thing to us, and what it does is it puts us against each other, because if they, your resources are limited, and anyone, I don't care, black, white, whatever, if you're in a certain situation where resources are limited and you're in these boxes and you're compacted together all the time, there's gonna be some kind of chaos happening.
But okay, so D, if you choose, but is in America, you choose to be the pawn. You choose to be the rook. I mean, you got to fight.
Sometimes you start as the pawn. You can work your way out of it, but sometimes you start as the pawn.
99% of the people are going to start off as pawns. But in America, do we choose to be the pawn? I mean, isn't it still free will to say, I'm going to be moved by this guy or this guy? I'm going to let them kill me for their purposes. Isn't it still free will in America? Like nobody puts a gun to our head and says, you have to make that move or you die for me.
Right. But they can program you to put the gun to your own head.
Will you ever really be the king?
Can't hear you, Dre.
Just because you don't have a gun to your head doesn't mean you're not being forced to do certain things. People have the power to turn off the lights, the water, the phone. We have to do what they want to do. Control our livelihood. It's not just because it's not a gun. Yeah, there is a gun. It's called the supermarket, the FP&L, the gas company, the light company, the cell phone company. Will control all of that. What can we like?
Well, okay, so let me interject again. I apologize, guys, but this is an awesome conversation, and this is the kind of conversations I want us to have. So that it's not technically a gun to the head, because even in socialist and communist countries, they still force you into poverty and take the best of the best for themselves, and they allow you to just barely exist. And granted, they don't have free will, but here in America, we still have freedom. Like I can go work 5 jobs if I want to. It's not against the law. Granted, with COVID, it's getting a little bit sketchy.
But you have the freedom to go to work. That's not freedom.
That is a big one for me.
They're coming at you, Vince.
They came after me.
Elaborate.
They came after me. I had to take my garden down.
Okay.
They came after me.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as freedom, bro. Not here.
Let me explain the situation real quick that happened. New neighbors moved in and they cut the tree in front of their house that was kind of close to the sidewalk, which they weren't supposed to, and it's city property. They ended up cutting that tree, so they cut that. Lady from the city comes by. They get into an argument. Remember, they just moved in. They get into an argument, and I guess they had a disagreement. The lady felt like, you know what? These people, they just moved in. They're not listening to me. I work for the city. I'm going to flex a little bit. So she says, you know what? We're going to check everything in the property, and we need to go behind your house and also see what's going on. And you're going to get fined for this tree that you cut here. Now, to get to their house, we're in a townhouse. They have to cut past my house. I have this beautiful garden set up. I mean, we're growing food. I got tomatoes, I got kale, dandelion, cilantro, parsley, I could name ginger, you name it. Beautiful plants. Sir, you're gonna have to move this out of the way. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's my backyard. Like, there's a walkway here. You could just use this walkway if you want to get to the next neighbor's house. No, no, no. Technically, this is city property. Your back patio right there, that belongs to you. However, the city property is right here. I'm like, what are you talking about? City property? It's in my backyard. The fence is here. No, no, this is actually city property. I'm like, can you show me where it says that? We're going to need these removed, or we're going to have to find you, because we need a clear pathway to get behind every townhouse here. I'm like, ma'am, you step to the right and you just walk to the door. Like, you're saying these plants are in the way? Yeah, we need you to clear all this out. So long story short, I didn't think they were serious until I started to get the fines. And when I got the fines, I had to take the garden down, and I had to show that I took the garden down. Granted, I have it set back up again, but I set it up a different way. However, um, she was upset to me. I had it for the longest, been growing food for the longest, and I had to take it down because she had a bad day. You know, this is what I mean about we do it to each other. She probably lives a similar life to me, but she's put in a position to govern over other people. You know, her issue was with the other person, not me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
free, yes, I'm free to grow my own food unless someone feels like I shouldn't do it. I didn't violate any right. I didn't hurt anyone. I didn't do anything. Why of that? And situations like that happen all the time. You
That's
know,
tyranny. That is tyranny, because if you were not harming anybody else,
but
that
that's just one situation.
One situation. What
That's
about
just
what
one.
about the orange trees? The orange trees that everybody had to get rid
Oh
of
my
their
gosh,
orange
we
trees
had
in
an orange
Florida.
tree, and then we had to cut it, right? With some citrus bug or
Yeah,
something that they said.
the canker or whatever. So
Now they're all growing it in Central
now you
Florida,
need to.
I think. Where are they all growing it now?
I don't know, but the point is you have to go in a supermarket to get one.
I went to Penn State University, and Florida orange juice, the company Florida orange juice, is cheaper up there at Penn State than it is in Florida here. I don't know.
Let's go to John.
Real quick. Okay, so you guys are talking about this tyranny and whatnot. So I drive a commercial vehicle and I park it on my property. And if I don't cover any of the logos in the evening, I can get fined. And it's not like it's not a giant vehicle. It's like a work van.
You saying you have a pickup with a sticker on the side?
Pretty much.
Like
it's a work van. It's a work van. It's nothing.
It's not an eyesore.
Nothing extreme. But
even if it is, so what?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
So what
until they come and until they come and find you? That's what I'm saying. It's so what until they feel like.
This is how I pay for my house. This is how I pay for the landscaping and all this stuff. And I mean, they say it's a commercial vehicle, but isn't every vehicle a commercial vehicle? I mean, if you drive a Ford, it says Ford on it. If you drive what's the difference? And then I found out it's only if someone calls on you.
Mm-hmm.
So but I have.
You got Karen.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually got Karen one other time because my son loves Halloween. So we got this huge pumpkin and we cut the bottom out. What we do, well, I split the side of it. So during the Halloween time, the season, I go ahead and I split it and I put it over. I have like a light pole out in the front yard. And so my son's always known where home is by looking for Mr. Pumpkinhead. And that's how I got him to learn how to identify the house. But one day I walk outside and there's just a letter slapped to my door from some anonymous person talking about it's an eyesore. Halloween has been over for 20 something days. You need to take it down before I start calling code enforcements. And it's just like, dude, it's a fucking little kid. It's his landmark. When we go through the neighborhoods, I'm trying to teach them. But these people
have an HOA.
No, I live in plant-based.
If there's, you know, and these are wonderful conversations because this is the future of America that we're discussing. If you, where does freedom end? Where do you want your freedom to end? Where do you allow your freedom to end? Because the legislation that you allow now is what determines where your freedom ends. That's why it's important to pay attention to it.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So I'm personally not, I'm going to say, fooled by the left-right paradigm. I get into the details, and that's just the nature of the creature that I am. So if I get into the details and I find out that they're tyrannical and they're incorrect, and there happens to be a R in front of the policy that says Republican, we need to do away with that issue. And I need my Democrat friends and my Republican friends to understand why we need to do away with something. And if they disagree, you know, I'm not going to go to war with them or anything like that. But we need to get back to the Constitution. We need to get back to individual liberty, individual rights. And that's where when you on your property are doing something that does not harm, not eyesore, because eyesore, that's a very vague thing. And in the case of like fruit and vegetables, that's very vague. I don't recall the last time there was this mass death or genocide because DeVar grew tomatoes in his backyard.
Yeah, but there's also that control mechanism. And if someone is controlling you, you're not free.
And we need to get them back in check. And that's exactly why this show originated in the beginning, was to get people to think from a liberal, a true liberal, not the definition that we have now with these guys that want to control your life. The real liberal, that you have liberty to live and exist. And you're not going to be in danger for your life because you painted your hair orange. You're not going to be in danger for your life or your livelihood, and you're not going to lose your house because you grow tomatoes in your yard that actually is your yard. You're not going to get your house burned down because you have a pumpkin on your property when it's January.
That's the world we live in, though.
That's the world we live in, unless you're like in the middle of America somewhere where you're out rural or out in some rural area. That's what we live in.
Think about the people who live in places where they have homeowners associations. They want it to look a certain way. You can't just, like I said, it's the illusion of freedom. You know what I mean?
And HOAs, there's no individuality.
There isn't. And when you look at it, like the only reason why I really decided to look into both candidates and see what they are bringing to the table is because of things like this. I mean, you know, my wife and I, we homeschooled our children before it was a thing to do. You know, we do everything the natural way. You know, we want to have solar panels. We want to catch our own rainwater. Like, why is it illegal?
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? Like certain things, like if we were free, like why would they have to regulate those things? You know, a neighbor of mine, they just spent like $40,000 to get solar panels put up, but they still have to go through the FP&L grid, and they have to pay the fees to do that. They have everything to run off the grid without it. But why is it that off the grid is illegal? Like like I said, there's this illusion of freedom, and both of these guys behind me, they're gonna bring certain things to the table, and what's gonna happen is Trump, he's gonna pretty much if anything good happens, he's going to want to take credit for it, and he's going to want his props, and he's going to want you to stroke his ego. With Biden, he's going to be the one to say, you know what, we'll give you more of this, we'll give you more of that, we'll give you more of this. And
you're going to stroke your ego.
Yes, but in the process, you lose. with each one has their benefits and each one has their drawbacks, and I want people to really open their mind and see what's going on. There's certain people that I see who gravitate towards each person. If you're more of a, let's say, business owner, although this is just generally speaking, there are exceptions to the rule, but majority of business owners, whether it's small business or whether, big business, they more tend to lean towards the Trump side. What I look at when I speak to friends and family who are, let's say, uh, either in college or college grads and have high paying employee jobs, or even middle class paying employee jobs, who feel comfortable within that space, they kind of tend to gravitate more towards Biden. Like, I look at their base and I see what they're doing. The only thing I see that the Democrats do is they try to reach as many people as possible, and some of the means are just, I mean, for me, it's kind of embarrassing, but it's effective, and they get to people and they do what they do. But as far as freedom is concerned, we can never truly be free under this two-party system. And yes, there's other parties, but are they really relevant? Like, let's be honest. Like, at the end of the day, you're gonna either give your vote to one of the big two.
Yeah, and
Democrat or Republican.
But
and I feel that they put that in front of you, and they're giving you the illusion of freedom of choice, but they control the cards. Like, they put it in. That's not freedom.
Right. I agree. The only reason it's like, yes, we do have other people running, and everybody else that was running looked way better than these two idiots behind you, on paper and in person. But the fact of the matter is, it's all controlled by the money. The money controls everything, right? And that's what it is. When I opened my mailbox for the last 2 months, and every day there was a mailer in there about this here big, one for me and one for my wife, telling us to go vote for Biden. That money came from somewhere. These things cost money to print up. High gloss, nice thick paper. I do advertising. I do promotions. I know what this shit costs. This is not cheap. For them to send me that through the mail every day for 2 freaking months, that costs a lot of money. Joe Jorgensen couldn't afford to do it. Howie, he couldn't afford to do it. But you had the Democratic Party pulling in money from Black Lives Matter. Bro, I was on Miami Beach the other day. There were 3 boats with huge neon signs. 3 different boats. Why you should go vote for Biden?
Oh, that's crazy.
Why is it crazy? They have more money.
Who's got more money?
They painted in front of Trump Towers, BLM.
Yeah.
That cost money.
But that wasn't the black community though. That's what I'm saying.
Guys, y'all bring up an interesting point, and I want to give it back to you. I apologize for interjecting, but I got to capture this moment. So, if the movement of itself is really about empowering and supporting the Black community, what should they have done with the amount of money that they have and had?
Schooling.
Well,
the type of schooling though.
A few things. A few things can be done.
Yeah. That was a lot of money,
There's
man.
a whole lot of things could be done, bro. Start by going to the community first. That's the first step. Go there. Go there.
See what's wrong.
That's number one. Go there. Show up. After that, we can, but you didn't even show up. So how do you know what to fix? How do you know where to spend any money? In the black community?
Yeah.
When
a black guy dies.
No, they show up in the white communities when the black guy dies to protest.
Only the white people are involved.
Bro, I frequent hoods. I've never seen any Black Lives Matter
one. I haven't seen them out here. I see people wearing I look at everything, and like I'll see people wearing memorabilia of BLM and other organizations. The only thing I'm thinking of is like, okay, did you create that yourself? And if you did, okay, more power to you. Or did you buy it from somewhere? And if you bought it from somewhere, who owns the company?
Right, where's the revenue coming?
Where exactly? I'm always looking to follow the money. Where who's fueling this? And every time you look into it, no matter what, almost every organization I see out there, the people at the top, it just, they look totally different from the people on the front lines.
Yeah.
And it's like I just look at it like this. Everyone is blaming a lot of people blame Trump for the chaos and everything that's going on. And I sit back and think, and I'm looking at it like, man, they blame Trump for oh my gosh, Corona. But then I look at it, it's like that's a worldwide thing. Like would you blame Obama for Ebola?
Absolutely. He was the president in the United States. No, I'm just kidding.
Somebody told me today, don't you know Corona? Y'all need to do some research. Don't you know Corona's been around since forever? Obama.
It has.
But listen, but no, the guy told me, he said, listen, Obama tried to save us from this. Obama tried to get, this is what the guy was telling me, bro. Obama was trying to get the vaccine for this thing from before it even was, what?
I have to cut in. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut you off. I'm using my white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
I have to. What? The common cold has not been cured. And how long has that been around?
Right.
Why is there no vaccine for the common cold?
Hey, on a positive note, flu cases are down.
Are they really?
Flu cases don't exist anymore. Okay, so I'm sorry. This baffles me. The rest of the world, here in the U.S., and this is mainly the left wing, and there are some people on the right wing of politics, not as many, like minuscule by comparison, that blame Trump for coronavirus. Now, and then there's the people that are not completely intellectually dishonest, who say we're not blaming him for coronavirus, it's the way he handled the coronavirus. So here's my question, and you guys can answer on behalf of the rest of the world because they can't call in right now. The rest of the world, minus Sweden, who did herd immunity, they still have coronavirus cases. But the rest of the world that followed these draconian measures, and they are draconian measures of like this super strict, stringent, they wore their masks, they didn't leave home, they stayed in their cages, aka flats, for these crazy amounts of time. Why is there such a huge outbreak in those countries right now that the leftists, Democrats, were saying were the countries we should be like? Why are they experiencing these huge outbreaks right now, to date? Is it the orange man's fault?
It's
only
America's fault.
It's only for America. The orange man's only for America. It's just I think that they're
but
letting
Corona
their
is
guard
his
down.
fault. But why is it
Corona's not
happening
his
over
fault, dude.
there? It's Obama's fault. Or
Because
not
people
Obama.
everybody wants to blame the boogeyman. Everybody wants to blame the boogeyman. And you guys are correct. Coronavirus has been around for a long time, but COVID-19 has not. So
COVID was made in a lab, though. There is a difference.
Ooh. What do you mean?
COVID-19,
what do you mean,
yes.
Vince? Made in a lab? What are you saying?
Well, the traditional coronavirus, which has existed since the beginning of time, which we all have had at some point, unless you live in a bubble, which is only John Travolta's movie, so that's probably not possible.
It's a good movie too.
It is. It was pretty decent to watch. It's a little weird now that I watch it as an adult, but anyway, the lab that Mr. Fauci and Bill Gates and CDC and the WHO fund over in Wuhan is where this virus escaped from. And
Bill Gates, you mean Thanos? Sorry.
Yes. The guy who wants to have all the stones and control the world. I'm not suicidal. I just have to throw this in there. So if I'm dead, you guys put the pieces together, please. So this was... No, it wasn't Trump. And unless that information comes to light that he killed Vince, but I hope not. Anyway, Wuhan lab, they were playing with this virus and altering it to the point that they changed the whole structure of the virus. And then the virus escaped.
That sounds like a Marvel movie.
Oh,
we're living in a Marvel movie, my friend.
Yes, we are.
Yes, how every movie starts. Some crazed lab developing bioweapons, and then somebody gets infected unsuspectingly and then starts infecting everybody else.
For one, I would like to say it's the white man's fault, but the white man funded this lab over in the Wuhan, China area, and it escaped there. And it is the white man's fault. Who is that white man? Who funded those labs and those projects that modified this disease? You do the research.
Yeah, but the way the Chinese government suppressed the information, plus the WHO were working in cahoots to keep the information suppressed, because China is one of the biggest backers. That's why Japan and other foreign countries are calling it the CHO instead of the WHO, the Chinese Health Organization.
Let me ask you guys. What is Trump accuses Biden a lot of his ties to China. Does anyone have any information on that?
Absolutely. He has deep ties to both Russia and China. However,
I thought Trump had ties to Russia. That's what I was told.
Well, what we're told and what it's like this. Okay. You have to do your own research. If nobody's going to, you should not even believe me because I'm just a face on a screen. In the likewise manner, you shouldn't believe.
But people believe faces on the screen, Vince.
That's where I was going with this. So other people believe other faces on the screen because they have a prettier background than me. I don't have a cool background. If you're not doing your own searching and then searching again and then searching a third time, you're probably not going to get any kind of accurate information as it is. Let me give it to you as an example from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, of which Devar and I are teachers. If I show you a technique one time and you perform it one time, you didn't learn the technique. It doesn't matter whether you got it right that time. You have to search out the technique about 5,000 times over the course of years to get to the actual understanding of the technique. Now apply that to information that is out there, because there are tangible websites where you can search copyrights and patents. There are .govs, that is still the law. They can't suppress all the information. You can go there yourself and look at the patents on certain viruses. Imagine that. And these scientists that manipulate viruses, public information. But if you're not willing to go look for it, do you actually think you're going to have the truth? You're going to leave it to the dude on the screen to tell you that this is what we found. Man, you better do the research for yourself. You're going to let just anybody watch your kids? You ain't gonna look into who these people are. You're just gonna be like, hey, there's a dude. He's got a pretty looking studio. I'll send my infant over there to be watched by them. That's how you should treat the information that you put in your head. Do a little bit of research at least.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of dudes on the screen, the dudes behind my screen. Let me ask you guys, when it's all said and done, who do you think's gonna win?
Trump.
Who said Trump?
I did.
You said Trump. Vince, what do you think?
I think that if they take the time to count actual ballots and decipher between dead people and living people and hold the true counts accountable, I do think Trump is going to end up edging out Biden. I do think Biden got a great turnout. The dude got a really good turnout. But
isn't it a record number? Isn't it historical? Isn't this like supposed to be the highest
turnout?
Highest turnout. Now, when they say highest turnout, are they talking about highest turnout for minorities, or are they saying just in general?
In general, remember that this time around, even though race is a slight issue, everybody that I've encountered in the streets, as far as race goes, the Black community, the Hispanic community, and mind you, I live in South Florida. The majority of them have been in favor of Trump, which I was actually very surprised about in the beginning. So this time around, it's not so much about race. You have record numbers of 18-year-olds, young people coming out to vote for Biden. And you have record numbers of people in general voting.
You know, the funny thing about that is my my son and his friends, they talk about politics, and let's just say that they give me hope for the future generations. Like when you look at, they're not buying into it. I'm talking about from both parties, like Democrats and Republicans. Like,
God bless them.
They're not. I don't know if that's across the board, but you know, Vince, you work with kids too. Like I talk to my son a lot, and I always invite the his friends to come in, like especially if they have idle time. If you have idle time, come to the school. You know what I mean? We'll find something for you to do. But
that mindset starts at home, man.
Huh? I didn't hear you.
I said that mindset that your kid has starts at home. So kudos to you, man.
Hey, I can't even take credit for it. It started with my dad. My dad broke a cycle in our family. He didn't have his father there for him. And he made it a point to break that, I guess, family cycle. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I could never, like, when I had my first kid, it was just ingrained into me, like, okay, I have to be here. That's it. There's no other option. I couldn't look that man in the face if I thought any different, but that's another thing that's missing in a lot of communities too. Most people, their daddies are behind me, and that's a scary place to be, but going back to that though, because I know we're a little short on time here, but I want to know, so you guys think Trump is gonna get it now?
When you talking about who the Electoral College is going to declare the winner, or who's going to sit in the White House next year?
Okay, who's going to sit in the White House next year?
Trump.
I think Trump is going to sit in the White House next year, but I don't think they're going to declare him the winner in the Electoral College.
But there's also a reason why. I mean, okay, for me, it kind of seems like he's stacking the deck in his favor to pull out one, even if it doesn't go his way. That's why they were quick to.
How do you say
they were quick to Ginsburg before the election. You know Ruth Bader Ginsburg? She died. You don't know her?
Okay, the
yeah,
justice?
they replaced her.
Yeah, they replaced her. Yeah.
They weren't supposed to replace her until after the election takes place.
Who said that?
That's like supposedly an unspoken rule. That's what they did the last time.
Listen to what you
No,
just
they-
said. An
they said-
unspoken rule. That's
they
exactly. This is what
said-
you just said. An unspoken rule.
They said that she requested that before she died. I don't know how true that is.
Who
But they
cares?
said that she.
Who gives a damn what she requests before you? Bitch, you're dead.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Seriously.
I'm just saying.
What do you
They said
think?
that she-
Like,
they
no,
said that
seriously.
She requested that, but it doesn't change the. It doesn't change the rule though. Someone has to occupy that seat.
Absolutely.
I get that. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's. I think that was another thing that they blamed on Trump. I just think put any president in that seat in that time, what should they have done? And that's how, I guess that's why I don't necessarily look at Trump as this big boogeyman. I don't praise him either. Like a lot of people, they praise these guys, like whether it's Trump or Biden, and I'm like, dude, you gotta fall back. Like you need a hobby or something, get a girlfriend or boyfriend or something. It's like, Jesus, like why are you so caught up in these two men like that? Yes, we got to study them, we got to see what's going on, because it's going to go in one direction or the other, and you just have to prepare for it. That's all I'm looking at. Whoever wins, I have a plan for a plan of action moving forward based on whoever occupies that house. And I feel everyone needs to get on the same page and do that. But being in fear, one of my friends was like, the police are mowing us down in the streets. I'm like,
When?
dude,
Where?
you live in Parkland, bro. Like, I'm like,
I'm sorry to laugh.
your parents did really well. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
Like, don't get caught up in that, please. And the influence is so infectious. I mean, and people don't think for themselves. Remember we talked about freedom and free speech, and we were talking about this. Let's be honest. The people behind us right now, they're going to be in control of that narrative, and it's, as far as Biden is concerned, I think that people just want him in because they're just so tired of Trump. And when I ask people what they're tired of Trump for, they say, "Oh, he's racist."
Yeah, they
Every
don't
time-
like his character.
Yeah, it's a character flaw. We'll say that, but they say he's racist. Okay, if Trump is, and I always say that, if Trump is racist, you're telling me Biden's not? Oh, Trump's a bigger racist. I'm like, how?
Racist
I'm
is
not
racist.
saying saying one is more racist than the other. I'm just saying if you want to interject race into the equation, you got two white men fighting over who's gonna sit in the White House and govern over
The
this
rest of the
country.
people. Yeah.
So it's
Oh.
like,
How do we get
I
Candace
personally
Owens as the
look at it. What happened?
president? I was just busting because I know Dre's gonna beat me for this. I'm like, all right, so how do we get Candace Owen into the presidency?
Oh,
And Dre's
shit.
gonna hit me.
Oh man. And the craziest thing, I was talking to someone earlier, and they were saying, what did they say? Like, I don't really care about Biden like that, or any of these white men. I just want to see a sister occupy the office. I just want to see. And I'm like, who are you talking about?
Right. Because there ain't no sister
You know?
running. Fuck
I'm like,
y'all talking
hold
about.
on,
There ain't no
hold on, who
sister
you
running.
talking about? And they were saying, they were talking about Kamala. Now my thing is, and this is for all of the pro-blacks out there, because my thing is, I think that whole pro-black thing has gotten it doesn't mean what it mean before. I'm pro-black. I'm about black people overcoming whatever situation that they're in, getting themselves better, making businesses for themselves, and serving the communities in which they live in, providing goods and services, not just to black people, but to people in general, because everyone does that.
Right.
Whether everyone talks about, this East Indian or whoever opened up a shop in the middle of the hood and they're collecting money out of there. I'm like, well, okay, study the system. I know it's not that I'm making it real as more simple than it is, but study the system and start small and try to open up your own. People have done it. Why can't you do it?
Why can't you do it?
Right. But to get back to what I was saying, we were talking about Kamala, and he was saying we just need a sister in there because she understands our issues and this and that, and she knows us. And I'm like, dude,
she know how to lock
married to a white man. If she cared about you so much, like she fell in love with someone else and decided to marry them, and that's her business. You can marry whoever you want, you can do whatever you want. It's supposed to be a free country, right? However, I see her using this. It's like this black thing is a weapon, and you see one side, which being the Democrat side, they're using it to get people to vote. Like my thing is, like, we're always being used. Always. Nothing has changed. I said this the last time before. There's people who went through generations, and all these generations have said their time is the worst time. And we're saying it right now. We're saying our time is the worst time. It's worse than it's ever been in history. But when you date back, your parents were saying the same thing, and their parents were saying the same thing. My thing is, what is going on that keeps making history repeat itself? Address that within your family, address that within yourself, and then we can go ahead and move forward when it comes to it. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, it doesn't matter who gets in that office behind us. Everyone is at odds right now saying my side here, my side here. Whoever wins is gonna be good for the country. Look, man, the only thing good for the country is what you bring to the table.
Amen. Preach.
And it's like, until you realize that, there's always going to be this boogeyman. 4 years from now, it's going to be the same thing. They're going to put two people in front of us, and there's going to be, this is the guy, this is going to be the voice of reason and voice of hope. And then there's going to be this other guy that we can't let get in office because he's going to ruin everything. Yeah. You really think it's as hard now as it was for Dr. King?
I don't want to hate to cut you, buddy, but we have a caller with just a few minutes left, and I do want to get to her. Caller, you're live. Thanks for calling. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, you're live.
Hi. I agree with you on the pro-black. We're used also as a distraction, our movement, to hide us from the real issues that are going on. And it's a misunderstanding that we always get sidetracked. A lot of people say they don't want to vote for Trump because he's racist and Biden's the less racist. But if you looked at both of them equally, you see what the real issue is. It's not about racism. And to say to put a black woman in power that can't even relate to us. We thought the same thing when we put Obama in power. We thought, well, let's put him in power so he can relate to us because he's a brother. He knew our situation. But in reality, when Obama was in power, who benefited the most?
The LGBTQ community?
Exactly. Why? Because they were united. They went together. They
had a plan.
They went to the White House and got their things heard.
Right.
As black people, we sat back. We put him in the White House. We said, he's got us. He's got us.
He's black. He already knows.
For our cause. We didn't unite at all. So when he came in power, we sat back. And right now, what we're doing again is we're thinking Kamala's coming in power, and we're going to sit back. And we can't sit back. We can't sit back anymore. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, that black history, they didn't sit back. They didn't sit back. They didn't Netflix and chill. They got up and moved. They didn't play victims, and that's what we need to do. We need to get up and move. It's time to stop sitting back and move.
You know, to your point, I did make a post today. I posted a song called "When the Revolution Comes" by The Last Poet, and you know, his very last word. Basically what he's saying is, when the revolution comes, most of you will be sitting in front of it. You'll be watching it on the TV with a piece of chicken in your mouth, because all you want to do is party and bullshit and party and bullshit and party and bullshit. It's a hard word to say. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's so damn true, man. Us as a people, we're too lackadaisical for whatever reason. Maybe it's instilled, maybe it's beaten into us, maybe it's indoctrinated through church and school. Whatever the reason is, we need to, like you said, we need to get together and do for our own and stop worrying about somebody else coming to fix our problems.
It sounds good, but why is that so hard for us to do?
We have an enslavement mindset, and we have hero syndrome. We waiting for somebody to come save us. We waiting on Jesus.
Right.
But in reality, what does the Bible say? It says faith without works is dead.
It's dead.
Are you asking God to fix your problem, but you waiting at the Popeyes chicken line, but you ain't gonna go vote?
Exactly. I agree 100%. Caller, with that, we're going to have to let you go, and I really appreciate your call. Thank you so much for calling, but because we're short on time, I'm going to have to cut it, okay?
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was a great call. I agree with her 100%.
I wasn't able to chime in.
I didn't hear you, John. Would you
chime in? I don't think it would have been proper of me to chime in.
Why not?
Because it's like, what's the Asian guy got to say about the black community? I have my own opinions.
Hurry up and buy.
Oh.
That was perfect. That was perfect. No, that was perfect.
Hey, you walked right into that door, man. You walked right into it.
But whatever sentiment I had or have, it just gets drowned out, which sucks, but it is what it is.
But now, I mean,
I want to chime in. I'm gonna bust in. If caller, I'm pretty sure you're listening right now. You had me in tears. The black community in my hardest days was the community to stand by me, and I won't get into details, but there's so much power within the black community, and I do take it personal, and I'm not going to take the approach of everybody else, but I want to encourage you that the power that you walk in, continue to walk in it. This is for you specifically because you're an individual, and I believe in individuality, but you change the world one person at a time, and little by little, we will change the world.
Absolutely.
All of us.
Absolutely.
And we need to have more conversations like this.
Real deal. And with it, guys, it's 10 o'clock, so we need to wrap it up.
Why?
Because it's time.
Because it's 10 o'clock. Because we've been here for 2 hours.
It's whatever.
All right, y'all. We love y'all. Anybody got a final thought you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, don't be a dick. Be civil. Especially after the president's announced.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, the world's not over. Remember, this is going to be a very difficult time for everybody, but try not to go only on your feelings. Think of long-term effects of how that's going to affect everybody. What may gratify you right now will not gratify you in the future. It's like a marriage. So let's do what's in the best interest of America for everyone. It's a tough pill to swallow, I understand.
I would say take it seriously, but don't take it leave your emotions out of it. You know, people are still people at the end of the day, and we all have to look out for each other, and it's life is hard enough as it is. But when you add a situation like this to where, you know, people are really going at each other and they're not talking to each other, and that's the problem. You have to be able to listen to someone who is on the opposing side, because we need solutions that work for everyone, not just Democrats, not just Republicans, not just a color, not just a gender. Solutions have to work for everyone, and we have to have those hard conversations. It may not be pretty in the beginning, but if the more we keep avoiding it, the more it's going to grow and the worse it's going to get. So I appreciate you guys, conversation that we're having, and hopefully we can inspire people to do the same with each other. And hopefully they talk to people from the other side, because you realize, it's the people that you hate. Sometimes you don't even realize why you hate them so much. And then when you talk about it, it's like you realize that you were hating an idea that probably didn't even exist.
And with that, what I'm going to say, guys, is don't forget, it's two sides of the same fuck coin. Don't be fucked over by either side. Don't be fucking stupid. See y'all later.
Great.
We're off.